will bring this Personnel Human Services Committee meeting to order. We have a roll call, please.
Johnson.
Here.
Forget.
Here.
Fox.
Here.
Hoonan.
Here.
Garrett.
Here.
Radke.
Here.
Krieger.
Yes.
Warren.
All right, thank you. So first up are the minutes for 10/19/2021's last personnel meeting.
Support.
They have been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so the minutes are passed. We've come to the portion of the meeting where we have public input. If anyone from the public would like to come forward and speak, please state your name and address and sign in.
My name is Amanda Masag, and I live in Bay County. I put my address on the paper for you guys.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You're welcome. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today regarding the subject of close contact quarantines. The U.S. and Michigan state constitutions are the supreme law of the land, Article 6 U.S. Constitution, and we the people retain sovereign authority over our government, Article 4, Section 4 U.S. Constitution. And based on the 9th Amendment to the Constitution, we the people are guaranteed all the unenumerated rights not listed specifically in the Constitution, but rights given by God. We the people already have these rights and do not need to wait for permission from a judge or a governor to exercise them. The job of elected government officials is to protect the liberty and freedom of their people. You took an oath to support the U.S. and Michigan state constitutions when you entered office under Michigan State Constitution, Article 2, Section 1, State Law MCL 15.151. The government does not have the right to regulate we the people under the guise of keeping us safe or to protect us from one another when it comes to our health and welfare, even in an emergency. This is clearly communicated in the U.S. and state constitutions. This was proven in court when many of the governor's executive orders, as they pertain to the COVID-19 pandemic, rules and restrictions were deemed unconstitutional at the Supreme Court level. With this being said, the Michigan state governor has found ways around this by trying to use public health code to do the exact same thing that she was prevented from doing using her imaginary power through the Emergency Powers of Governor Act of 1976 and the Emergency Management Act of 1976. This means that Board of Education, school boards, county executives, and the county health department do not have authority granted by the Constitution to create or enforce any public health code used under the guise to protect our health, safety, and welfare as it applies to COVID-19 pandemic rules. These are public health codes which are loosely worded, MCL 333.2453 and MCL 333.2451, and are guidelines only. It is unconstitutional to try to enforce them even in a state of emergency. Multiple lawsuits have been filed and won regarding close contact quarantines in the state of Michigan because these public health orders violate the 14th and 5th Amendment to the Constitution, which gives each child equal access to a free public education and gives each child the right to due process of law. The right to equal access to a free education cannot be conditional upon testing to stay or vaccination status. Unvaccinated children are blatantly discriminated against with more quarantines and testing and are not allowed equal access to education compared to the vaccinated school children. Not only are these PHOs unconstitutional, they have been deemed unlawful as set by numerous lawsuits. The Test to Stay program does not obviate these violations. Please explain how a healthy close contact is an imminent public health threat in school when hundreds of thousands of spectators crowd into sports arenas with no testing, masking, or screening. How can one reasonably suspect an imminent health threat due to close contact in one school district but not another? We, the people, are asking you, our Bay County Commissioners, Bay County Executive, and all other representatives of the people who may be listening to uphold your duties as required by federal and state law and abide by your oath of office and help us to defend the Constitution of the United States. We are asking that you declare that enforcing and implementing public school COVID testing mandates, use of in-school close contact quarantines, and coercion when it comes to vaccination and discrimination based on vaccination status as unconstitutional. We, the people, are reclaiming our authority as constituents and taxpayers and will protect, preserve, and restore our freedoms. Are you going to turn a blind eye, take part in, and allow the violation of U.S. and Michigan state constitutions to continue, or are you going to do everything in your power to uphold your oath of office? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? State your name, sign in.
My name's Dr. Salvaraj. I'm a Bay County constituent. I will put my address on the paper.
Thank you, Doctor. Amanda was really good about staying within 5 minutes without me reminding that that's the timed portion.
Thank you for allowing me to speak, and I'm hoping that we can listen to some of these things together and try to work together moving forward. What I'm going to speak about today is the test to stay program as well as the close contact quarantines. And again, also, which I've mentioned in the past, I'm a part of a group called Bay County Parents Against Close Contact Quarantines. COVID testing, whether PCR or rapid antigen testing, is under emergency use authorization and not FDA approved. COVID testing mandates violate federal law, Title 21 U.S.C. 360 BBB, the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. Emergency use authorization products are experimental and require right to refuse, and liability for coercing participation in a medical experiment and injury from it are incalculable. COVID-19 vaccine mandates violate federal law 21 U.S.C. 360 BBB, Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. As of August 31st, 2021, all existing Pfizer vaccine vials remained under EUA. The FDA approved a biologics license application for Comirnaty vaccine. BioNTech received FDA approval for people greater than or equal to 16 years of age under Comirnaty, but there is no Comirnaty doses available in the U.S. per the Children's Health Defense and Senator Ron Johnson. Therefore, any doses of COVID-19 vaccine manufactured under EUA and not labeled as Comirnaty are currently under EUA. Per Children's Health Defense, another FDA-issued letter dated October 29, 2021, confirms that existing Pfizer shots are still under EUA in the United States. Judgment by war crimes tribunals at the Nuremberg trials laid down 10 standards to which physicians and others must conform when carrying out experiments, establishing standards of ethical medical behavior in post-World War II human rights era. Voluntary consent of a human subject is absolutely essential, meaning that human subject must have the legal capacity to give informed consent to exercise free power of choice without force, fraud, deceit, duress, overreaching, and other ulterior form of constraint or coercion. Given that COVID testing and COVID vaccines are still under emergency use authorization and considered experimental, with right to refuse testing, treatment without right to refuse testing and treatment without coercion, and the Nuremberg codes protect human subjects from coercion to participate in experimentation, please listen carefully and respond to the following observations and questions. How can the Bay County Health Department be in compliance with the Nuremberg codes when the alternative to consent in the test to stay program for close contact students is to deny the child or the children an in-classroom education through home quarantines? The experimental test administered at the Bay County Health Department Test to Stay program result in hardships such as loss of classroom education and parental job strains. The close contact home quarantines result in similar hardships. It is the excessive burden of testing and home quarantines that the Bay County Health Department policies on the unvaccinated close contact students a coercive measure? There seems to be no medical reason to treat the unvaccinated and the vaccinated differently during the Delta variant because they both get it and spread it, and the efficacy of the vaccine is less than 50% per experts. The reason the discriminatory treatment The reason that the discriminatory treatment seems to point to coercing the unvaxxed into getting the COVID-19 vaccine to avoid hardships created by the HD policies. Are healthy close contacts a threat to public health when there is no true state of emergency and thousands pack into stadiums without masking, testing, and screening? The degree of variability in the HD policies from county to county and state to state, and I have even seen it on school boards where arbitrary policies are created with really no understanding of the medical knowledge behind it. The degree of variability speaks that this is about political control and not about public health. Common sense tells us that the close contact quarantine test to stay policies of the Bay County Health Department are in violation of the Nuremberg Codes of 1947. On the basis of these violations, the violation of the U.S. Constitution, the state constitution, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the Nuremberg Codes of 1947, we demand an end to or significant revision to the Bay County Health Department policies regarding close contact quarantines in the test to stay program. You, the county commissioners, have been notified, and the expectation is that you would take immediate action through policy resolution to address these issues. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Vanessa Moten. I did not think I was going to make it today, so I don't have a speech, but I'm going to elaborate a little bit about what those two spoke about. There have been addresses on there. There have been 1,400 tests in 1 week given out to the Bay City Public School children. 1,400 in 1 week. These kids are meant to test 7 out of 10 days, which means their time will lapse into the next week, which means we're seeing about 2,800 tests every 2 weeks in our schools. My child doesn't get her gym class anymore for first hour because they're in the gym testing the kids. So the education is really being taken away from these kids. I'm an assistant director at a daycare in Auburn. I've worked there for 13 years. The test to stay program, or there is no education, it's not fair to the kids. Our rights are taken away, and the people in this room we've been to our board, we've been to Joel. I actually emailed Joel on Saturday morning, and I asked him when he would relook at, hello, here's my exact email. Bay County Health Department updated their Facebook page yesterday, reporting 59% of ages 5 to 11 receiving their vaccine. With the vaccine available, can you please provide a date the current order will be revised, lessening the test to stay program along with the close contact quarantines? He responded on Monday. For clarification, the post of Facebook referred to persons 5+ or 5 years and older receiving at least 1 dose, not for age category of 5 to 11. It is my sincere hope that we are able to modify the testing requirements in the coming weeks or months. On the horizon, it is anticipated that there will be new therapeutic treatments available in the community, increases in the percentage of population that are fully vaccinated, and other factors that may be able to lessen the burden of the virus upon the community and especially children. However, I cannot say with certainty when this is going to happen or what exactly the new requirements may be. When a decision is made, we will communicate that to the schools and to broader the community. Best regards. Joel has not budged at all. He's not willing to talk about it. He is not willing to meet about it. He hasn't been listening to the real data that has been provided. We're coming to you guys now in hopes that our kids can have an education. That's what it's all about. The packets that get sent home, if they get sent home, you're lucky by the day that your quarantine's done. Midland County, Freeland, Saginaw, I believe they all have cameras in their classroom. They're giving the education to their kids while they're in the quarantine. And right now, our school in our county doesn't even care about that. And the rights of the kids is really what matters, not anything else. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right ahead, state your name. Yep. Address, and then just sign it if you can, Connie.
I'll put my address. When you count my time, after I sign?
No, I'll wait until you start talking.
Thank you for bearing with me last week, and my only intention is to be charitable and respectful. But I'm very passionate about the topic that I'm going to talk about primarily in this Bay County that I love. And so I'm invoking my First Amendment and I'm studying the Constitution more. The Constitution of my rights as a citizen to speak freely. So I know I can be like a dripping of a faucet, but I just really have a bleeding heart about the patients that are diagnosed in the area with COVID and that they are refused early treatment, the high-risk people. Like, who oversees the health department? Who oversees the hospitals? Who oversees the physicians? I know there's medical boards. Just from my experience in my little part of the world, a lot of patients are just told to go home, or they're told, like if a family member asks if they could have ivermectin right away, the doctors will say, I can't do that, or the hospital, and they have a plan already laid out in the hospital. There's protocols already. I'm not sure if they would veer toward it away from their protocols, because I never had to come in contact with that. But if I would have to, I would fight for my loved one to get the best treatment. There's a lot of doctors out there that are saving lives. For example, the frontline COVID-19 critical care doctors, they have protocols that you can print off for your doctor. Like ivermectin, and there's a lot of the meds I can't say. There's some supplements. These are all physicians that are treating COVID-19 patients and having success, even simple things like mouthwash, et cetera, and supplements, and how to prevent it, and anticoagulants and other drugs that I cannot list, that I cannot pronounce very well. So to me, it's a life or death situation. It's a shame. It's a crime against humanity. It's a crime against the commandments. And I'm not having any ill will here or blaming anybody. I just want to get to the truth. And my heart is heavy for those who feel forced to take the shot. That is emergency use authorization. It is unapproved by the FDA. There are many complications. I know the health department's taking some measures, which was mentioned that our emergency use authorization, the shot, the mask, the testing, they're all emergency use authorization. Therefore, we need explicit informed consent. I question how informed consent is being administered. And we have a legal right under federal law that was mentioned to decline. Again, if it was your family member, what would you do? Would you want your loved one to have early treatment ASAP? The vision of the county is to be a leading public health agency meeting the needs of our community. Are we meeting the needs of our community? The high-risk, very vulnerable ones that are, when they get sick, they go down fast. And this is very, very important. I know you probably all know somebody that did not get early treatment and have died. Rest their souls. Is the health department telling people about nutrition? Monitor your blood oxygen levels. No, they're saying put on an emergency use authorized mask that interferes with your oxygen flow. And it is a contaminated, pathogenic substance, cloth. And when somebody is tested, is that out of their scope of practice? If a teacher tests, for example, and you're positive, so they prescribe treatment, is that out of scope of practice? And like I said last week, one state I know is a pharmacist is being sued because they're practicing out of their scope of practice. Also, there's been, just the VAERS, the CDC, 643,954 adverse events since December 14th till November 5th. Just came out on the 12th. 8,456 deaths, 58,780 serious injuries. That's only 1 to 10% reported really on the CDC VAERS.
Connie, I hate to, you've got 1 minute left. I know you've got the passion, so go ahead and finish what it is you're trying.
The PCR tests. I had a PCR test, and I want to meet personally with Joel. I want to have a community question. I had a test back in March. It was positive. I wasn't sick. The next day, my work tested me again, negative. Somebody called me, bam, right away. The day I tested negative, within minutes, bam, everybody freaked. Don't go see patients. And so I called back after I had my other test. It was negative, and I said, "Are you going to use this negative test on a false?" She could not tell me, and I said, "I'd like to know." I've called the health department 4 or 5 times. I gave up the last couple of months. Nobody called me back. Do I trust the government? No. When Fauci, I could go on and on. Robert Kennedy's book, putting babies that are murdered, aborted, on the top of monkeys and mice and testing them. And then we all know about the dogs with flesh-eating flies. I don't trust the government anymore. I want solutions. I urge you to fight for our souls that need treatment ASAP. It's out there. It's out there. Fear not. The truth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. That will bring public input to a conclusion. Thank you for coming and speaking. Let's go on to petitions and communications. Within the first one, we have a public hearing, so we need to, I believe, a motion to go out of regular order.
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Then all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so we will go out of regular order in order to have our public hearing in regard to our Eastern Michigan Council of Government update on our Bay County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Right, thank you very much. Ryan Manns, Bay County Emergency Management. I'm here today with Mr. Bill Ernott from the Eastern Michigan Council of Governments, who has been working diligently with the municipalities within Bay County to put together the hazard mitigation plan, which we are now getting ready to submit it to both the state and FEMA. This is just entering the 30-day public comment period for where we've gotten to so far with the plan. So with that, I would like to bring up Mr. Bill Ernott. He can kind of elaborate a little bit on the process that we've been through so far with the plan.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bill Ernott. I'm with the East Michigan Council of Governments. We were hired to assist in the development of the update of the hazard mitigation plan. Today, as Ryan said, is the beginning of the approval process. We have the draft of the plan. We'd like to present it at the public hearing. We then have a 30-day comment period, after which we will then identify all the necessary comments, and we'll bring it back before the county board for final acceptance, at which time it will then be presented to Michigan State Police and FEMA for final approval. Over the past 2.5 years, we've worked with, under the direction of Ryan, worked with the advisory committee. We've identified the hazards. We reviewed the 2010 plan, identified the hazards, and identified goals and objectives, looked at the events that have happened over the past few years, and have identified projects. Basically what has happened is the committee identified the most impactful hazards are energy emergencies, infrastructure failures, flooding, and then severe weather. After that, there's another 15 hazards: cyber terrorism, public health emergencies, structural fires, wildfires, etc. They ranked the hazards and then identified projects to address them. In addition, all the participating communities within the county were asked to do the same thing. It's important that the communities participate. We are trying to get all the communities in the county to participate. If they don't, they will not be eligible for mitigation activity dollars from FEMA. So we've got, I believe, 4 communities left that have not participated. They can still do so within the next 30 days. We need some information from them so that they can be considered to be part of the project, part of the program.
Can I interrupt you for just a moment?
Sure.
Having gone through that and listing, seeing how many people participated in the meetings and what have you, does turning in the survey, would that count as participation?
It does.
Would that be the...
It does to an extent. We have the survey, plus there's additional information that we were asking the communities to participate in. We're asking them to identify the hazards by impact. We ask them for which projects they will participate in. And we've also asked them to address what resources they have. And then the last thing is they have to identify which of their assets are vulnerable to natural disasters. So we started out with the survey, and recently FEMA has changed or asked for more information. So we've added those which were not included as part of the survey, but they've been a part of the meetings. So lots of information coming from them in order to design the best possible plan. Like I said, we worked for months to identify the hazards, and in addition to the county-wide hazards, each municipality identified hazards that impact them more so than others. For instance, the shoreline communities have the shoreline, whereas Williams Township that's not an issue with them. We also are asking them to identify projects that they did. 41 projects were identified. First 4 projects on the list were all dealing with floods. So I know that flooding is a big issue. It was last May in the middle of updating the plan. We canceled 2 meetings because of that. So they're doing their due diligence. So what we're doing now, again, is starting the the process. The plan is available online,
Yes, it will be same.
and people can comment, read it, comment, send your comments back to Ryan. We'll then go over the comments, and we can address them in the plan if necessary, or at least address the fact that we received them. So we will do that, and then again, the plan is actually at Michigan State Police right now for review, and so that when the 30-day comment period comes up, we can ship it back to him sooner rather than later so we can get this approved. This has to be approved by March 22nd of next year in order to maintain your eligibility for pre-disaster funds. Look, answer any questions?
I was at Monitor Township, and they actually asked me to comment on some of, they have a list of them, and flooding was one of the big things, infrastructure. I know Williams has had trouble even with their sewer and water system out there too, so it's not just the shoreline people that had trouble, but they had a long list and they went through the process. So I guess those 4 communities need to know that they won't be eligible for FEMA money if they don't turn in the survey, so that's taking a risk.
Ryan has been contacting them numerous times. We've sent out notices multiple times. We've included that in the survey information, that failure to participate in the program will result in not being eligible. That includes even if the county applies for funds, those townships or municipalities won't be eligible. So after 2.5 years, they've had numerous chances, but they have 30 more days.
Any other questions?
Is that Williams Township?
Yes.
You're talking about?
No, they have participated.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the supervisor from Bangor is at every meeting.
When the plan goes online, check it out. You can actually go down and you can see how many meetings representatives from your area attended and the things they turned in.
Chapter 2 identifies the meeting dates and the agencies that have participated and the people who have participated from those agencies. They're all there.
What is the website? Is that just?
It's on the county website,
Okay.
under the emergency services page.
Okay. They're also Monitor Township, are they?
Yes, very much, very involved.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Is there more detail about like the public health and cyber attack?
It's within the plan, yes.
If I could read it in the plan?
Yes.
There is a part in there about that, yes.
Okay, thank you.
213 pages.
Yes.
But there's a lot of charts in there, so.
Right now, there may be changes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Plenty of charts and graphs, so.
Lots of pictures.
Any other questions? Thank you, gentlemen. And so
Thank you.
I need a motion to receive this hazard mitigation plan, this draft.
Support.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
I'll make a motion to go back to the regular.
Thank you.
Support.
All right, we've had a motion and support to go back into regular order. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Now, we need a motion to receive the draft.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we will receive that. Okay, we'll move back into petitions and communications. Letter B, Bay County Prosecutor, Assistant Prosecutor vacancy, seeking authorization.
So moved.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. And then we'll move into item C with the Personnel Director. Number 1 under item C is 2022 recommended reclassifications. There are 3 reclassifications that are requested.
So moved.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and then we'll move on into our regular vacancies. 911 Central Dispatch, Dispatcher, Dispatch Supervisor, Juvenile Home Youth Development Worker, and Youth Development Workers, 2 part-time. Environmental Affairs and Community Development, 1 Transportation Planner and GIS Manager.
So moved.
Support?
It has been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then finally, letter D, which is the Office of Assigned Counsel.
Point of order, Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you overlook mosquito control biologist full-time?
The full-time, hey, thank you. It's on the back page. Thank you. How about item number 2, a mosquito control biologist?
So moved.
Support?
Moved and supported. Any discussion? All right, then all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good. Thank you for bringing that up. I flipped the page and missed that number 2. All right, and then finally, letter D, Office of Assigned Counsel's monthly reports. A motion to receive?
So moved. Support.
Then moved and supported. Any discussion? If none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? And it will be received. All right. Number 6, referrals. Any referrals today? Seeing none. Any unfinished business? Any new business? Miscellaneous or announcements? I'm looking over this way. There's usually one. All right. Go ahead. Commissioner Krieger, go ahead. I think you got your hand up before Commissioner Fox did, but that's all right.
It took me a while to get in front of on. If we could, I see Joel Strauss is on the line. If maybe we could get a little update.
Sure. Joel, are you there? His name's there.
Sorry, I was on mute. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I know how that works.
I'm here. So, wanted to give a status update on the pandemic
Can we get a...
as we are right now. As you all are aware of, we're seeing increased numbers in the last few months. And as of today, I believe that Michigan is now leading the nation in the number of new cases. And our test positivity rate today is just a little bit below 20%. We've been hovering between 15 and 20% for the last 5 or 6 weeks. Our new cases over time have gone up pretty substantially since July, but we have since plateaued. We're seeing on average about anywhere from about 50 to 100 new cases per day of COVID-19. Now, our death situation is unfortunately, due to these high numbers, we're starting to see increased numbers of death. We're averaging about 1 to 2 deaths per day, depending on the particular day. We're at about 370 deaths total overall since the beginning of the pandemic. So in the breakdown of cases, what we're seeing really is that in the last few months, the majority of the cases, about anywhere from 30 to 40% were coming from individuals under the age of 18. That is starting to change now. We're starting to see more cases amongst persons in the age categories of 30 and between 30 and 49. But a bulk of those cases still is younger people. Those ones especially below the age of 18. And that's the reason why we've got the Test to Stay program in place. I understand there's some concern about that, and but overall, the overwhelming majority of the feedback that we've got is positive with that. The Test to Stay program is designed to keep kids in school rather than have them be quarantined at home. And it's also designed that we keep schools in session. So I'm happy to report that not one school has been forced to shut down at all this year as a result of outbreaks. Now, we have had some significant outbreaks in schools, most recently in the Bay City schools, but also in Bangor Township schools and Essexville, Hampton. But just about every school district and every public and private school has been affected by COVID-19 and significant outbreaks. The Test to Stay program We were the first ones in Michigan to do this, and it's been replicated in various formats throughout the state and the country. And it really represents a true choice for parents to keep their kids in school and to keep others safe and healthy. You know, overall, we've done over 6,000 to 7,000 tests so far this year in the schools, and we are looking to streamline the testing. However, you know, we've got some delays in reporting from schools. We're looking at the data that is submitted to us on a weekly basis, and we're hoping that with some of the new developments, which is the expansion of the vaccines for kids 5 to 11, potential for more rapid and in-home testing, and the expansion of potential therapeutic treatments from both Merck and Pfizer, that those will have a significant effect on the pandemic overall. You know, we expect that more people are going to get vaccinated, but our goals in the immediate future and have been and continue to be to prevent as many infections in residents when possible, to prevent infections in a person's network, whether that's school, workplace, family, and friends, to break the chain of infection in the community, especially in immunocompromised individuals, and, you know, really prevent kids from having to quarantine and keep them in school via the Test to Stay program. But to keep not only other kids and other students and staff safe so that we don't have widespread outbreaks overall. The other things, too, that we have to take a look at are, and that we're trying to prevent are, you know, the complications from COVID. Now, we've talked a lot about, you know, fatalities, but there's a lot of complications that happen in individuals, whether it's long COVID, you know, different types of things that arise as a result of infection and continue to take place with the infected. But we've also had reports and doing investigations on children that are affected by long-term COVID, particularly MIS-C, which we know that we've had at least one case here in Bay County. All this is done to put the pandemic behind us. So we've got the tools in front of us right now, really, to put that in the rearview mirror. We need to get people vaccinated. The vaccine is safe and it's effective. You know, we do need to get older folks booster doses and people that are beyond their 6 months to get them the booster dose so that they do not become infected. But we know that the people that are vaccinated tend to have better outcomes if they do have a breakthrough infection. So, and they generally don't go in the hospital and they don't die. So that's one of the things that we have in place. But we also need to make sure that testing is available and widespread for everyone. And then we also need to get treatment and therapeutics to people in need on a timely basis, effective treatment and therapeutics. So the one thing I do want to end on is that we want people to be prepared for the holidays. And the best way to do that is to get yourself vaccinated. So if you haven't been vaccinated yet, in order to be fully vaccinated by December 25th, you need to get your first dose by November 20th. And then if you can engage on and keep on the vaccine pathway, you can get your second dose by December 11th, and that would be enough to get you fully vaccinated by December 25th. We also want to remind those folks that may be eligible, that are eligible for the booster dose, that they can get their booster dose at any time. We've already had 12,000 individuals get their booster doses from Bay County, and we know that when that booster dose is given, pretty much for healthy individuals and those that are not severely immunocompromised, that their efficacy rate goes back up into the 90% range. And so that's really important too over the holidays as well. So we're seeing more and more cases, but hopefully that we'll see less and less as we get more people vaccinated. But we have to be cognizant of the risks that are involved with this virus. It's not behind us yet. It is a very serious thing. We're still having to combat everything and all of the complications from the virus. And that hopefully we can do this in the next few months, and that with some of the new technologies and therapeutics that are coming out, we really can turn the corner on this. But we need to have people more cognizant of the risks that are involved and make sure that they do everything in their power that they can to protect themselves, their family, their friends, and their community. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Question, Joel. I heard today there's like 500 cases of flu down at U of M, so I would imagine you're promoting the flu vaccine, especially for the vulnerable elderly people?
Yes. Yes, we are. In fact, you can get, if you so wish, you can choose to get your flu vaccine on the same days that you get your COVID vaccine. For sake of less complications, we usually just offer, though, during our COVID clinics, just the COVID vaccine. But we are encouraging everyone to get their flu vaccine as soon as possible as well.
Thank you.
Are we allowed to ask a question?
Opportunity for public input is the only opportunity for that.
Okay,
Sorry. Any other questions for Joel? Go ahead, Casey.
Hi, Joel. Just a quick question. You brought up the MIC with the case that occurred in Bay County. Could you explain to us what exactly MIC is?
Multi-inflammatory stands for multi-inflammatory system complications in kids. And it's usually a condition that occurs, it can occur in a variety of different situations, but it occurs frequently sometimes in children that have recovered from COVID-19. And quite often what they find is that a child will get a case of COVID. It doesn't have to be a serious case. And that they will they will recover, and then they will start to have complications from that down the road. And with the multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children, what will happen is some of their vital organs will start to be affected. Now, it can occur in a variety of different things, in a variety of different ways. In some particular cases, and in one that that was close to home here, it was one where the individual had complications with vital organs and gastrointestinal organs, kidneys and in the gastrointestinal system. Quite often with kids with MISC is that they need to be hospitalized, and in some cases that they'll need to go to intensive care. And we're investigating this current case where this child actually had to go down to an intensive care unit down in Detroit to be treated on this. So it's a very serious condition. It doesn't happen to all children that have that. Most kids that do get COVID tend to recover fairly quickly, but it's certainly a reminder that COVID is not just a simple illness like a cold or a mild case of the flu. It can have some serious complications and some serious side effects for those people that are affected.
Commissioner Fox?
Hey, Joel. Question relative to the schools. Are all Bay County schools participating in the Test to Stay program and the close quarantine guidelines, or are they modifying those based on their individual preferences, for lack of a better word?
Now, all schools are subject to the order that came out at the end of August. Not all schools are required or are participating in the Test to Stay program. That's a choice that schools have on their own. Most of the public schools, I think all the public schools have actually chosen to participate. Most of the private schools and parochial schools have chosen to participate, but not all of the private schools have chosen to do so. The other thing about that too is that not only is it a choice between the schools, it's a choice between the parents. So if they don't want to have their children go through testing, then they're going to have to be subject to the quarantine requirements. But most parents overwhelmingly choose the testing.
And the order in August was a state order or federal? State?
No, it was a local order.
Oh, it was local, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Joel. Do we have any other announcements?
Oh, I do have one.
There you go.
For those that might be interested, on December 1st, from 5 until 7 at the Pinconning Library, Mr. and Mrs. Claus will be there with cookies and hot chocolate and real reindeer. And I'm told it's the only place in Bay County where there'll be real reindeer this year. So I thought that was a unique opportunity and a fun thing to share.
Where, can you say that again? Where was it?
Pinconning Library.
Oh, the library.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Krieger.
I move to adjourn.
It's been moved for adjournment. Is there a second?
Support.
There's support. Is there any discussion? No? You sure? All right, seeing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I don't see.
All right, this meeting has come to a conclusion. Thank you, everyone.
So, Mr.